What is up, my brothers and sisters, my agents of respect? It's your boy TreJuanJohnson back with another episode of the No Disrespect But podcast. Before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Always feel free to comment. Just please make sure you keep those comments respectful. And if you're interested in supporting your favorite podcast, yours truly, you can do so via Cash App, $ TreJuan Johnson. That'll also be listed in the episode description. So, uh, couldn't decide if today was going to be a long episode or not. I don't think it will be. Um, going to cover, of course, what was a fantastic national championship game, in my opinion, last night. We're going to cover the divisional round uh, of the NFL playoffs. I would say more so focusing on um, the Denver Broncos Buffalo Bills game and what's to make of Josh Allen at this point in his career and will that championship ever come to him, or will it always elude him? And I guess more so importantly for Bills fans, will it come with him as the starting quarterback of the Buffalo Bills? Because we've seen quarterbacks go on and go to another team, i.e., a Matthew Stafford, and win. So that's always in the cards too. But I think he's going to retire Buffalo Bill. But going to talk a little bit about that. If I can squeeze in some time, I want to talk about the San Antonio Spurs and maybe some matchups that I'd like to see in the playoffs, not in particular rounds, but just in general. And I would say maybe three matchups I want to see. And I don't think it's really going to surprise anybody with what I say. But let's start with the national championship. Indiana beats the University of Miami, the U baby, beat them 27-21 in what I thought was just a really fantastic national championship game because you got it all, right? I think you got the trench warfare and the veteran rosters. I think you just saw really clean football for most of the game. We didn't have a turnover in the game until the Carson Beck interception, which sealed Miami's fate and sealed Indiana's fate as the national champions. But um, I thought for a lot of that game, both offensive line and defensive lines, they battled. You saw guys on the perimeter making plays. I think the refs and the NFL could take could learn from this. I think the refs, for the most part in college football, realize that we aren't there to see them. And they try to keep the focus on the young men playing and obviously the coaching staffs and what they're doing. And I felt like the officials, they came into this game saying, look, we're gonna let these guys play on the perimeter. We're gonna let them battle. We're gonna let them grab each other a little bit. And I think you saw a lot of that. I think you saw, receivers grabbing DBs and vice versa, and you didn't really get a whole lot of penalty calls unless it was something egregious in the pass interference or holding um, um, area. Like it had to be truly egregious. But for the most part, they let them play. And as an athlete myself, and I think others would agree, the only time you have real issues with officiating if you feel like it's one sided. And I don't think that a Miami fan can feel like the game was one sided and that Indiana got all the calls. And I don't think an Indiana fan can say, man, we almost lost that game because Miami was getting all the calls. I think the referees officiated that game down the middle. And I know we give them a lot of grief. So I think when they do provide us as fans what we want to see, you have to acknowledge that and you have to say thank you and appreciate for them doing their job to the best of their ability, but knowing that, hey, everything that happens, it has to happen on the field, and we gotta let these young men battle it out and let the best person win the game. So I thought it was a really clean game from that standpoint. Yes, you had some penalties, but I just felt like if it was a penalty, it's because it was a penalty, not because we had judgment calls and things of that nature. So really was a fun watch from that perspective. Um, I thought each like lead backs for each team. I felt like they had good runs. You saw Indiana's running back, like I think it's Hemby and Black, and the way they just ran with power and we're getting some explosives. And obviously, Mark Fletcher Jr. having a few explosive runs, had a 57-yard touchdown run, had another big run in that game as well. And so you saw running backs making plays. You saw others making plays, right? You saw C.J. Daniels making some big plays when they were kind of bottling Malachi Tony up. You saw Cooper and Surratt kind of doing their deals, but then you saw Becker make, who's kind of been a guy that's come on late for them. He made some like big catches in this game. Hell, I love, speaking of big, I love both head coaches just dropping a pair. I mean, you had where it was 10-0, and it's looking like things are not going Miami's way. They got a score before the half, albeit they ended up missing the field goal, but it was a 4th and 1 in their own territory. I think they were at their own like 35-yard line, and Coach Cristobal was like, you know what, F it, trenches. I need a yard. I need a yard. They lined up in power I, and they got their yard and barely at that, but they got their yard, and it was good to see. You saw Coach Signetti go for 2 4th and 5s, 2 4th and 5s. That one was a beautiful back shoulder throw to Becker, and the other 4th and 5. I think at that point in time, it was 17-14. So it's like, okay, like why aren't they taking the points? They can go up 6. But he was like, no, we're gonna keep it going. We're moving. I trust my quarterback. I trust my team. What did they do? They run a quarterback draw, and it looked like Fernando Mendoza was dead to rights. You had a couple Miami players right there that could have tackled him short for the first down, and he just made a couple moves, made some guys miss, and stayed on his feet, powered his way through to a touchdown, put them up 10. It was incredible to see, man. And um, you know, I thought Miami's defensive line, just the way again, Ruben Bain is as advertised. I've been talking about this dude being a Saint since like August. I give it up. Like we have the 8th pick now, guys. We ain't getting them. I'm not even about to hurt my feelings by putting this guy in mock drafts and trying to Photoshop the Saints jersey on him. Like I just don't see it. I think for me, I think Ruben Bain and Fernando Mendoza, in my humble opinion, solidified themselves as the top 2 picks in this NFL draft, especially with Adante Moore not coming out. Like I think it will be Fernando Mendoza to the Raiders, and I think it will be Ruben Bain to the Jets. Like that's just kind of how I feel about the situation in terms of those two prospects. But Mesidor, I can't remember the interior defensive line. I know it's number 99. Like the way they were flying, Keontae Scott, an Auburn transfer, just the way he flies to the ball, man. Like I put a tweet out last night. I was like, dude, the Saints could use every pick on the Miami defensive line, and I won't even complain. And dude was like, oh, man, but you're going to start complaining about skilled players on offense. Like I said what I said. If we spend all our picks on that Miami defensive line, we're going to be getting the ball in the opposing team's territory all the time. So like we should just score on that. I don't care. You and me and everybody else, we can score touchdowns with the way that defense is, man, and the type of opportunities they give their offense. And hell, Indiana wasn't no slouch either. Mr. Pons, cornerback, they talk about him in the run game because he's a little undersized. But hey, you ain't throwing on him. And those type of guys that go day one in the NFL draft. We will figure out the tackling in the run game and all that type of stuff. But can you cover the man in front of you? Can you shut down half the field? Well, Mr. Pons was able to do that. Their linebacking core, just being able to fly to the ball and work around that defensive line, man, like it was a perfect game. I believe we got the best 2 teams last night. And again, I know Miami was the 10th seed in these playoffs, but if you watched all year, and I'm on record on this show saying that Miami was the best team in the nation. They had shown for a number of weeks that they were the best team in the nation. I think they had two slip ups, excuse me, against Louisville and SMU, and people wrote them off. And I think everything they had accomplished, like the big win against Notre Dame, a big win against Florida, I just felt like those things just got cast to the side, and it shouldn't have, because player for player and the way they were executing, they were the best. I felt like for a long time when it was just them in Ohio State, I felt like they were the best team in the nation. And it was no surprise to me that they made it to a national championship. And Indiana, despite the doubts, especially by me on this show, I did not think Indiana was all that based on their schedule. But hell, they bust people behind. It didn't matter who you put on the schedule. They said, okay, we don't have a high strength of schedule. We still dog walking them, and we're going to beat the teams. Y'all say barely beat them, but guess what? We won the game. And so we showed that hey, when we're supposed to win, we're going to blow them out. When you're questioning if we can win against Penn State on the road, if we can beat Oregon on the road, if we're going to do that, it may not look pretty. Or are we going to be Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game? It may not look pretty, but we're going to make more plays than them. Oh, Alabama SEC ball. Well, they haven't played anybody this physical on their schedule, and Alabama's battle testing and yada yada yada. Okay, well, we're just going to dog walk them. We're going to show that we're more physical, we're more experienced, and we're going to make it happen. They did that. Did the same thing against Oregon the second go around. Oh, you can't beat Oregon twice. Well, guess what? Not only did we beat them worse than the first time. So every challenge, every doubt Indiana faced, they were able to overcome them, including against this Miami game. I mean, this was probably the first time that Mendoza just got his behind whooped, snap after snap. That defense is coming. And he just kept coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back to do what he's always done in a Heisman Trophy winning season and make the play. Make the play. And look, Carson Beck, I think until that last throw, I felt like Miami was hiding him a little bit, and you can't do that in these big games. You paid this guy $4 million to do his thing, and I think in that fourth quarter when they're down 10, they had to open it up a little bit more. You saw him make some explosive plays, get them downfield, get them within 3 points, get the ball back down six because their defense forced a field goal versus Indiana, or forced Indiana to take a field goal, and he's moving them down on a crucial, third down play. He finds his tight end, Alex Bauman, do two-lane transfer. Shout out to him. They're moving. And he just inexplicably doesn't see the cornerback shading in cover two and throws a pick. Just doesn't see it. And look, that's the story of Carson Beck in his career. It happens. But look, I'm not about to just pound the guy because guess what? He got his team to a national championship. With all the doubts going into this season about who he was as a prospect, and obviously was a guy that was projected to be the first overall pick in last year's draft. Season at UGA did not pan out the way he wanted it to, nor how UGA wanted it to. Ends up transferring to Miami, ends up taking money to go to Miami as opposed to going to the NFL draft that year, where I think had he gone, he probably would be starting for some teams. Saints fans, you're gonna hate to hear it, but he probably would have been the pick for us because he was a Jeff Ireland favorite. Um, for those of you guys that don't know that, but that could have been his destiny. Sure, it probably wouldn't have been a first round pick, but hell, could have been a second round pick. Could have been somebody starting quarterback now. So who knows? But I still think he made some money for himself, and can make some more money for himself in the pre draft process. But we'll see. But I we got the two best teams, but I just think the committee or the system that is, we need to figure out a way to I don't know. I mean, how I want to word it. We need to figure out a better process to get to the best two. I don't think the process is good enough. I think there's way too much time between games. I think quarterfinal matchups need to be played on campuses. I think the college football season needs to be over at least a week after New Year's. Like, why are we playing on Martin Luther King Day? Why are we going to be playing on January 25th next year? Why are we, by the time we get to 2028, we're going to be creeping into damn near February? Why? Why can't we change that? That's insane. We need to change that. The calendar, got to do something. But I will say more times than not, the committee's gotten it right to where we get the top two teams in the national championship. We get a really good showing. Yeah, we've had some blowouts here and there, but for the most part, we have a really good showing in the national title game. Now we got to get that process better, and not just the teams that are involved, but I think where the teams are playing. What are the layovers between the time when they're playing? We got to fix those things up, and we can fix those things before next season. Like, I don't know why we're acting like we can't. Like, we can. But you know, players being allowed the red shirt after 9 games is more important right now. So, But yeah, it was good. Shout out to Indiana, man. Congratulations to y'all. I was probably y'all's biggest doubter. And for that, look, I apologize because one, not only y'all win the championship, y'all beat my team en route to it, and even me saying I picked the winner of the Ole Miss Miami game, which ended up being Miami to beat y'all, like just shut me up. So look, I'm not gonna be one of those people that say, "Oh, when people graduate, we're gonna see what they are now." But what they are now are the reigning, defending national champions, and they should be addressed as such. So shout out to them. Shout out to Mark Cuban. Look, clearly you see the ROI on NIL. Well, there is a school. All I'm saying is there's a school in East Texas, right in your backyard, in the DFW that would love that support. I don't know if we win a natty, but I think it'd be helpful. Just saying, just want to throw it out there, Mr. Cuban. I, I'm my people. I was about to say I have my people call your people, but I'm the people that call. But I'll try to call your people, sir, and see if we can get up. So if you're watching this, anybody watching this that got connections to Mark Cuban, help me out because I want to talk to him. Got a proposition. um, but let's pivot, man. Let's pivot to the NFL divisional round. You had over in the NFC, oh my God, Seattle. Why? Why would y'all do that to San Francisco like that? Like y'all know they had all those injuries. They was playing with shit. It felt like 70% of their roster hurt key guys, especially on defense. Like why would y'all do that? Why would, I know understand the division rivals and you see them twice a year. You have a level of disdain for them. But why? Like was that necessary? Was that really necessary to do that? Like no mercy, none at all. Like not call off the dogs a little bit. But anyways, I, it was dominant. Like I can't talk much about it. I mean, it was dominant. They forced I think, but they forced three turnovers or something like that. Brock Purdy at one point got benched for Matt Jones. Um, Chris McCaffrey didn't have a great day. Obviously, they were without George Kittle. Obviously, without Fred Warner on their defense, they lost so many people. They lost Bosa, lost so many people on their defense. It finally added up. I think is my take on it. You can only go so far with that roster. I think Kyle Shanahan he won't get the credit for it, but he did a masterful job as head coach this year to even get them to the divisional round. When your quarterback misses half the freaking season, like your high paid quarterback misses half the season, and you still find yourself in the playoffs, like come on, man, and get in the playoff win against the defending champions. Come on, y'all. Like you gotta give my favorite Nepo baby his props on that one. So that was a shellacking. Then you had the Rams and the Bears go to overtime. Man, like I thought Caleb Williams was gonna do it. They were starting to walk the Rams down. Everybody's getting on DJ Moore and that effort on that pass. Y'all, I just don't think that's a pass you make. Like I get it. Maybe he has more effort. It's not a clear cut freaking interception. Maybe he can catch the ball. Maybe he can break that up. But you could tell he was running like he wasn't even getting the ball. Like he had given up. Like he was like, oh, like my route's done. They're there. Like I'm done. I got to figure out something else. But the ball was already in the air. And it just kind of sucked. I know he had three picks on the day, but he made a hell of a play on that fourth down touchdown to tie with 30 seconds left or whatever it was. But Matthew Stafford got the ball back and they do what they do. Hit Puka Nakua on a crucial third down play and really got them in range, and they won the game in overtime. You know, I don't know what more you can say. I mean, I think Caleb Williams is going to grow a little bit more. People act like he said his ceiling or the Bears hit their ceiling. I don't think so. I think they got some young guys on offense that are still building, and then they got some really good guys on defense. And Dennis Allen is arguably the best defensive mind in football today. And the way they're able to take the ball away, that matters. And I think they're going to be able to continue to add talent on that defense. And I think they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think Caleb Williams under Ben Johnson will only get better. Like he will continue to get better. And I don't know. Like for me, I don't think this is the end of the story for the Bears. So we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. But the Rams got a good win. They're going to NFC Championship game. So the NFC West, which hell, what 10 years ago, maybe 50, like somewhere between 10 and 15 years ago, used to be one of the worst divisions in football, and they're one of the best and have been consistently. Like that is insane to me. Let me see. Sorry about that, y'all. Had to tend to something. But anyways, as I was saying, um, Rams got them a win, and so now you have a Rams Seahawks NFC Championship game, and again, a division that used to be the bottom feeder at one point in time has quickly become one of the preeminent conferences in the NFL. So NFC South, it's possible you can get back to your glory days when we was getting three teams in. It could be possible. I mean, I really don't care as much. I just want the Saints to make it. So if it means the Saints are winning a shitty division, that's fine with me. But at the same time, narratives and when the best teams are in your division, it kind of yields at the very least some of the results that hey, you may be one of those teams really competing for a championship because these other divisions can't necessarily mess with you in your respective conference. And so when you play that level twice a year, it helps in the postseason. I think the Rams and the Seahawks are perfect examples of that. And so it's going to be interesting to see what that NFC Championship game what it brings. Is Sam Bradford going to get him Sam Bradford? Sam Darnold, is he going to get him a chance to get a Super Bowl and rewrite his career and what it looked like when he was a New York Jet, and then obviously having a good season with the Vikings, who had their season ended by the Rams a season ago. By the way, when we were like, "Oh, the Vikings are fake and Sam Darnold is fake," well. And instead of being all sad about that, Sam Donald said, "If I'm fake and the Rams are just dogs like that, I'm gonna go to their division and I'm gonna win that motherfucker." And hell, he may beat him in the NFC Championship game, but we'll see. Uh, but I don't know. But there's gonna be a good matchup though, man. It's gonna be a good matchup. Now, AFC. Let's start with the Patriots and the Texans. It was just a whole lot of a lot of just bad quarterback play. Um, what CJ had four first half interceptions, and it was still a relatively close game. You had Drake May have a few fumbles. It was sloppy. I do think I will say it was almost expected from Drake May to have a little bit of a sloppy performance. He is in his second season. There is a lot of pressure to win, especially when you're in New England and you're in the postseason and they're used to championships. So I think that was a little bit of pressure there. But man, I thought the Texans would have given a better showing offensively. Defensively, Will Anderson is that guy. Roll Tide, by the way, built by Bama, and he needs to start getting his respect and his due, and he's going to be winning a lot of Defensive Player of the Year awards, in my opinion. Um, Honestly, totally wrecked that game by himself, but the Texans' offense cannot get out of their own way, and everybody's going to be talking about the run game and the lack of weapons and the offensive line being questionable. But at some point, man, CJ, you got to do better, man. Like that was not a good performance. And for someone who has made the playoffs 3 of his 4 years um, in the league, like, that has to be better. That has to be a better performance. Like it was unacceptable by his standards. It was unacceptable by the standards that we have set for the Texans, especially when you have a defense that's playing lights out the way that they are. Dude, you got to be able to win these games. Hell, probably not win. It's hard to win on the road. I get it, especially in the playoffs. But like, you have to play better than what you play. You have to. If you're going to be their franchise quarterback, if you're going to be the guy for the next 5, 10 years, you have to play better in these moments, man. Like a contract year is coming up. Of course, they're going to pick up his fifth year option as they should. I think he's done enough to warrant that, but I don't think he's warranted enough to get an extension. And I'm on the side of saying ownership and teams need to start setting the scale back a little bit and leveling that back up with the quarterbacks, because you're having quarterbacks just because they play the quarterback position and they're okay, they're getting 55, 60, $65 million to play the quarterback position. That's insane. Like, you got to be a guy I win because of, not win with, to be in that top 3 to 5 pay scale at the quarterback position. Otherwise, like, I'm pay you good money, but I'm not going to pay you like the top dollar. Like, that's insane. So should CJ Stroud get paid? I think he should, but should he get paid what I'm sure his representation will be demanding based on where the league is going with the revenue and how that falls under? Yeah, I'm sure they will. And I think the Texans and the Panthers are going to kind of be playing a little, okay, who gets paid first between CJ and Bryce, because I think they want to try to dictate that. So, I mean, if I'm the Texans, I want to pay CJ before the Panthers pay Bryce, because let's say for sake of discussion, right? Um, the Panthers pay Bryce Young 60 million a year. I know it's crazy, but let's say they do, right? Well, if I'm CJ Stroud, hey, I won Rookie of the Year. I've made the playoffs more than he's had. I've won more division titles than he's had. I have better stats than he has. I want more money than he's getting. And that's just going to kind of be the discussion. And Houston, they may have to pay him, or they may play hardball and say, "Nah, like, I get what you're saying, but we don't think you're that worth that much." Yeah, Carolina did it. We think they're insane. We're not falling down that trap. So here's 45 to 50 million to be our starting quarterback, and we're not going above that. And I think it's going to be hard for CJ Stroud, unless he has a great year this upcoming year, to get a better offer on the open market. Like, I do think teams are about to start being real strategic with how much money they put into the quarterback position, especially if he's not a bona fide guy. Again, a guy you win with, not because of. We have to really start assessing those types of contracts, but we'll see. But Drake May and the New England Patriots will be going on the road to face the Denver Broncos, who will be without second year quarterback Bo Nix, which, just to put a pin in that, there were a lot of question marks about last year's quarterback class. You knew Caleb Williams, you knew Jesus, you knew Jaden, but like, you didn't really know anything else after that, right? Like, you were just like, oh, like, Bo Nix, he's an older guy. How's he going to do? Drake May, people was putting the Trubisky stamp on him. And even Caleb Williams was having his question marks if he could translate to the NFL. Um, but they all did it. I mean, uh, Jaden gets to the NC Championship game a year ago in his rookie year. Caleb Williams had the second overall seed in the NFC his second season. Drake May has the second best record in the AFC his second year. Bo Nix leads the Broncos to the best record in the AFC, and I think in the league, if I'm doing the math right. Like, those guys are doing well. And I think JJ McCarthy sucks, but again, this year was truly his rookie year, and he had some moments. So I want to see what he looks like next year, just to really see what he's going to be. But we probably slept on this class a little bit, and we got to kind of give him a little bit of love. But we shall see when it all comes to fruition. Now, again, I mentioned that Bo Nix is injured and will not be playing in the AFC Championship game. That is because Sean Payton is an idiot. Why would you run a quarterback sweep with your quarterback when you have two really good running backs and you already are in field goal range? But if you want to get yards, maybe use the running backs, not the quarterback, and not have your quarterback take uh, just meaningless hits, because that's what ended up happening. Got a fracture in his ankle, and that was it. It was the end of the year. He had to have surgery. And you guys know I'm always praying on Sean Payton's downfall since he left the Saints, and not just because he left the Saints. I didn't like the way he exited the Saints. I didn't like the way he behaved himself when he wanted to get back into coaching, but wanted things his way. Um, So no, like he forever has an op in me. Does not mean I don't appreciate what he's done for New Orleans Saints. Obviously, being the head coach, our best head coach ever, leading us to a Super Bowl and winning one. But okay, you still sabotage the roster because you already had one foot in and one foot out. You had tried to leave multiple times, and Mickey Loomis and company begged you to stay. You just did it, and you just had enough to where you was like, "Look, I got to get out of here, and I'm retire. I'm going to retire," but then try to come back a year later because, well, I thought the Chargers would fire their coach, but they didn't do that. Um, Um, I thought the Chargers would fire their coach, but they did. They fired their coach a year later. I wanted the Arizona job, but the Saints didn't want to trade me there, and so I got pissed off. But well, the Broncos called, and they gave a good deal, so I got okay, and I was able to make it out. Now I'm the best team in the league, and I'm going to the AFC Championship game. Blah 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 blah. I hope they lose. Um, and here's the thing, I thought they were going to lose this last game because they were going up against the reigning defending MVP of this league, Josh Allen. And going into these playoffs, actually going into this season, you guys will recall an episode where I talked about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and how when will it finally be their year? And at that point in time, it was a healthy Kansas City, healthy Patrick Mahomes. They're the defending AFC championship game, AFC champions, and you're like, okay, guys, at some point you got to go through this guy to win a championship. Will this be the year? Because he's on the same timeline as you, and because he's more of a pocket quarterback, he has a larger span, historically speaking. So when is it going to be? When are you going to take advantage of your opportunities? Well, Lamar Jackson got injured during the year. They had blown leads all the time. Had a chance to get to the playoffs, lost in a de facto playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He doesn't make the playoffs. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, injured. Kansas City loses. They're out of playoffs. That leaves Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills having, depending on how things roll, right? You have to go against a CJ Stroud or in the Texans defense, right? Bo Nix in that Denver defense, Drake May and what they're doing over in New England. Basically, when you look at it paper for paper and team for team, roster for roster, one, I'm taking a quarterback regardless. I'm taking Josh Allen. Like if this is the field, I'm taking Josh Allen. And I get it. Sometimes you want to talk about what players have and what they don't have. But I think sometimes you have to be the quarterback that y'all can have the old line, y'all can have the running backs, y'all can have the receivers, y'all can even have the defense. But I have this guy. And you see with Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes drug two mid rosters to Super Bowls, won one of them. Because at the end of the day, the opposing team didn't have Patrick Mahomes. You left them lying around, and he made the plays. Y'all kept me in the game. My team that hasn't really been that good. My defense that's been sloppy. They've done enough to keep me in the game. Let me go do what I do. You've seen Tom Brady do it time and time again. You've seen in their careers Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers do it, albeit unfortunately they didn't have the ball last, and their defense gave us some big runs. You've seen the Joe Montanas of the world, like just the star quarter, the John Elways of the world. At the end of the day, my team has me and you don't. And that has to start mattering for something. And that was what I was intending to see with Josh Allen. And what happens? He has a freaking stinker. He accounts for 4 of the 5 turnovers that the Buffalo Bills have. Although, albeit, I will say it's only 3 turnovers because I do not think that was an interception. I know I'm disagreeing with a lot of people, including my father, but it is what it is. That was not an interception. That was a catch. But, dude, you had a fumble before the end of the half, which was insane. You had a clean pocket and you get a sack fumble. Like, because you're just standing there, you're not moving. You missed you know, Dawson Knox which would have won the game, which would have won the game. Like he was wide open. You got to make that throw. The previous play, you missed the receiver. Yes, it called the rule. It touched your hand, you got to catch it. But like, come on, man. I'm running the crossing route, and I gotta slow down my momentum and get to the ground and get the ball when I'm wide open. Like you didn't make enough plays. And look, and Bomani Jones mentioned it as well. To Josh Allen's credit, he understands that. He admits it. My issue is why everybody else is trying to make excuses and coddle this dude. Like he's a freaking grown man. He's a husband now. He's about to be a father. Like he's a grown ass man. You don't have to coddle him. Are we saying it's all his fault? No, no. But this notion that he has to be Superman. I don't know if you guys know about this kid named James Cook, who may arguably be the best running back in football, but he exists. Khalil Shakir, one of the best route runners in football. Like Sean McDermott, who obviously got fired because they couldn't give it a home. One of the better defensive minds, still doing some things with that defense. I know they gave up some big plays and it was some pass interference in the overtime that kind of ruined the game for them, which was kind of insane. But you had enough. And at some point in time, it just has to be you. You have to be the one to tip the scales for us. And again, Josh Allen hasn't been able to do that. Now, albeit there's been moments in his playoff career where he was just unfortunate not to have an opportunity, like losing the overtime game against Kansas City in the playoffs a few years ago. And that's when we got the rule change that, hey, everybody gets a possession. But in these most recent years, last year against Kansas City, you got to go get that done, big dog. You got to get that done. Because when you don't get it done, people lose jobs. Sean McDermott, job lost. Joe Brady, job lost, even though I think Joe Brady will be and should be the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Because at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for Josh Allen. And I think Joe Brady has been what's best for Josh Allen. So that's where I'm at on that. But like, when is he going to step up? Again, I asked at the beginning of the season, when is it going to be your time? Because guess what? Kansas City is coming back with a vengeance. Patrick Mahomes already says, I'm back week 1. I'm about to kick injury rehabs behind, and I'll be back week 1. And guess what they do? People have been saying for years, or since at least since 2022, that things have been hard for Kansas City because no one is holding the locker room accountable. Guess what happened in 2022 and who wasn't there? Eric Bieniemy. Guess who's back and was just hired as the offensive coordinator? Eric Bieniemy, which means he's going to hold people accountable. Guess what also has been struggling since Eric Bieniemy has left? The run game, finding a good running back. You know they're going to attack that, whether that be in free agency, whether that be in the draft, especially because you got Patrick Mahomes coming off a major knee injury. They're going to attack the run game. They're going to get more weapons for Patrick Mahomes. They're getting his guy and Eric Bieniemy back as a play caller. They're coming back with a vengeance. He's coming back with the vengeance. And he's the guy that has had your number since you started this thing. So what is it going to be? This was the best chance. This was the best chance for Buffalo. I'm sorry. I hate to be a Debbie Downer about it. But show me any reason. Show me any reason I should believe, right? Show me any reason I should believe that organization can beat the Kansas City Chiefs organization. That when it's time to make a play, that Josh Allen will make more plays than Patrick Mahomes. Tell me why I should believe it. I'm open for the argument. You guys will always feel free to comment. Please let me know why I should believe that that's going to happen when it's never happened before. And as Josh Pate always says, just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it can't. But dude, I'm going to believe that it can't happen. Like I will have to see it to believe it. I'm very much a doubting Thomas in this situation. You got to show me. Because I put my faith in the Josh Allen sweepstakes. Everything they told me he's supposed to be. This is a playoff path that you win. That doesn't mean you win the Super Bowl, but you damn sure better get to it. And the fact that you didn't, again, cost the head coach his job. Probably the one time in the career that it wasn't his fault. His guy turned the ball over 4 times. 4 times. That can't happen. especially on the road. Like that cannot happen. Josh, you got to play better. And I know you know, so I'm not talking to you. But all these fans that want to just want to baby him, no, you don't have to pile on the guy because again, at the end of the day, he is the Bills' best player by far, in my opinion. You don't have to pile on him, but you got to call a spade a spade, dude. We can't win with 4 turnovers by you. We can't win if the other teammates, like if it was 4 fumbles that weren't him, if it was 4 other turnovers that weren't him, we can't win the game. Or it's going to be hard enough. But we damn sure can't win when you're responsible for those turnovers and you're allowing the other team to get points off of those turnovers because you're giving them short fields and whatever. Like you're giving them opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Like it's tough. And yeah, I know some of the Bills players, they was like, man, he ain't let us down, man. They were emotional because you fight so hard. And they know. Like, okay, if you came in as the 6 seed, right? Just in general, if you came in as a 6 seed and you lost to the 1 seed, you would be emotional from the standpoint that you lost. But that emotion wasn't just, oh man, we just lost to the better team but we just lost the game. No, man. They knew walking into this postseason that this was the year. 15 is gone. 15 ain't the boogeyman is not here. They knew that. And they didn't get it done. That's why I felt that's why that emotion was so strong in all of these players. Hell, Brandon Cooks just got there and that emotion because they know deep down, man, the moments, getting the margin for error is getting so much smaller. But they got to start with 17, man. He will hold himself accountable. I think he will be a better player coming into next year. But y'all got to start holding him accountable too and how you cover him because this coddling trying to blame everybody and Imama, but not the guy who turned the ball over 4 times and trying to absolve him of any type of blame. And hell, not just any type of blame. He should get majority of the blame. I didn't say it's all his fault, but when you turn the ball over 4 times, you play a pretty big part in the loss. And that's okay to say. It doesn't mean that Josh Allen sucks because he does not. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. That's why when he does turn the ball over, it hurts. It hurts because he has to play well for them to win, and he didn't do that. And that's okay. That's the territory he's on. That's the play that he has put forth. That's the mantle that his play has put him on, and it's okay for us to hold him to that. Um, like I said, I'm not gonna pile on him, but it's just sad, man. Like it has to be better. It just has to be better. And I'm sure they're gonna get guys. Hopefully they get guys that GM Brandon Bean, who shouldn't have been promoted, but he was. Hopefully they get guys to continue to help him be a better quarterback. But they won't be the best version of themselves until he figures out how to take care of the ball in big time playoff games. And I truly think this was the year. This was the gotta have it year. And they didn't get it done. But hey, I was shut up in the college football world. Maybe, maybe Buffalo can shut me up in the NFL world. Maybe. But I'm not confident. I am not confident. Okay. I think I'm gonna end the show now. I'm gonna table talking about basketball for another week. But we'll dive into that next week. And I'll also talk about because we'll be done with the conference championships. So I will do a little bit of preview for the Super Bowl matchup, and I will do a what's the best way to frame it? That's just my thoughts on the Saints season. And Chuck and Alvin Kamara and the defense, Kellen Moore, all those guys. I'll just do a dive into what are my thoughts on the season's end and what am I thinking about the future of the Saints? And so I'll touch on Super Bowl, New Orleans Saints, and then I will touch on um, Spurs basketball. I might just do that first. I can make sure I get that in. But anyways, you guys know how I end the show. If there's anything I said that offended anyone, it's a good thing, right? It's an opportunity for me to learn, and it's an opportunity for you to teach me. All I ask is that you keep it respectful. Peace.